you guys? How are you all? Thank you guys for being here. Sorry for the technical difficulties in the beginning with the intro starting and stopping. I had forgot to switch over to a different internet. I was still hooked up to my mom's and I'm over at my house, so it wasn't going to work that way. So that is what happened. I'm happy to be here with you guys today on Sunday afternoon. Happy Sunday. I hope you're having a good day. And yeah, we're going to get into a new case. So I've been watching so many different videos about this on TikTok and YouTube. And, this morning I was watching some of the protests across from the church of this situation. And I think the way I'm going to do this is I've got a couple articles, a video from the local news, a video of Micah's I want to show you guys. We're going to just walk through all of this information. So let me say hello to you guys and then we'll get started. Okay. Hey, Pointer Lover. Hey, Sexy Wild Thing, McLovin, freaking Baby Face Claws. Hey, MK, Punksy, Malicious Intent. Hey, Tess. K-Brace, good to see you. Hey, Kathy. Mayla's mom, Music City mom. Thank you guys for being here. Hey, Lunch Lady. How many of you guys have already been kind of watching this or, already have heard about this case? Hey, Debbie Doodles. It's pretty interesting because many of you guys, hey, Amaya fam, who have followed along with Letitia's case, there are some places that we know because of her. So Micah and her husband, John Paul, live in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. However, she was found deceased in the town in Lumber County, Lumberton. And I think it is actually Lumber County in North Carolina. I think it's actually around an hour drive. I never realized it was that close. So that caught my attention almost instantly just because we've talked so much about these places, like the same local newspaper, the Robisonian, that we've looked at for some things with Letitia, has covered this and has an article out about this situation, about this case, about the, in my opinion, murder. But I mean, we'll have to see what police say. So let me see and try to get to the bottom. Hey, Citizen Sleuth, Neat Noodle, Anna Melodies. Thank you guys for being here. Hey, Sammy Activity. Have seen titles all over YouTube, but haven't watched anything. Yes, I've been trying to follow a little. Hey, Deeds, I just started looking into this a few days ago when a sub told me this one hits close to home for me. I'm so sorry. I know that when we can see ourselves, our family, a situation we've been through in these cases, it just hits us differently. Hey, Nanine. Hey, Teacup. Okay, so let me go ahead and we're going to do it like this because it's still new to me as well. Less than 19K population in Lumberton. But I've only been looking into it since really yesterday and for the most part all day today. Okay, so I'm going to start my screen share. I've got an article from Fox News, one from the New York Post, a local news video, like I said, a bunch of things, and we're just going to go through it. Now, I will say this. It is picking up on TikTok. There's a lot of people talking about this case over on TikTok, and some of the things that are being said, I don't know, I can't verify them. So I don't know that we'll watch any of that over there. I think I had grabbed one that we might look at. It's just tough because don't want to put out misinformation. But okay. So death of South Carolina pastor's wife under investigation as her family warns of false stories. Now we're going to watch. So Micah Miller is the woman that we're talking about, and her husband is John Paul. Now he's a pastor, and we're actually going to watch. He did a sermon, and at the end told his congregation what had happened to Micah, and we're going to watch that in a second. But let's try to get through some of the basic facts so you guys have an idea of kind of what's going on and work from there. North Carolina authorities are reportedly investigating the death of Micah Miller, the 30-year-old wife of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina pastor John Paul Miller. Robeson County officers reportedly located Miller's body on April the 27th in the Lumber River State Park, about an hour drive from the Millers' hometown of Myrtle Beach, last weekend, and they are investigating how she passed away. John Paul, however, told his congregation that his wife died by suicide and that she had struggled with her mental health for years, but authorities have not released her official cause of death. She had struggled with suicide before. Each time we would help her through it and take her to the doctor, and we got through it and everything was fine, John Paul told ABC 15. She even gave a few testimonies here at church that we have on video. She battled suicide, but God took care of her and got her through it. I think it's interesting that he notes that, they have this on video. And we're going to watch him talk to the local news in a second as well. An obituary for Miller states that the 30-year-old woman was energetic, affirming, adventurous, faithful, loving, giving, forgiving, talented, joyous, creative, assertive, bold, determined, authoritative, passionate, hardworking, a risk taker, and so much more. However, Micah's loved ones on social media are noting one part of the obituary that strikes them as odd. Quote, she would praise her husband after every church service, telling him he was the best preacher in the world, even if it wasn't true, in parentheses. She also told him he was the funniest preacher in the world, even though that wasn't true either, in parentheses. Micah loved her family so much. And here they are at absolutely beautiful. He sounds so creepy. Yeah, he definitely, I haven't heard about this. OMK. Prepare, because you're going to go down a rabbit hole after this. Like I have. It's there because there are a lot of people talking about it. And like I said, there's a lot of things out there that I can't necessarily, I don't know that they're factual yet. So, for instance, about him before they got together and some things like that. And we'll work on talking through those things once we know that they're true. I believe this man was more cult-like just by things I have heard and read. Hey, Riley. By struggling, I mean figuring out what is fact and what is rumor. Yep, it's wild on Facebook too, and I'm struggling picking through the info. Yeah. No, I understand that completely. Okay. So the Horry County Clerk's Office, remember you guys, because we have covered this with Letitia. I do believe that's the way you say that. It looks like it said the Horry County, but I think it's Horry, but the county clerk's office in South Carolina confirmed to Fox News Digital that Micah Miller had filed 3 different separate support and maintenance requests since last year. The latest filed on April the 16th. Separate support and maintenance allows one spouse to receive court-ordered support from another spouse without officially divorcing. Since Micah's death, which has rocked the Myrtle Beach community, her family and friends have been sharing posts on social media with the hashtag Justice for Micah. I can tell you guys what, today I was watching, and the person who was there, I hate to even. So let me just say, JLR was down there filming the protest across from the church. I don't know if there's any other video of it, but regardless, I just wanted to see what was going on. So I was sitting there watching, and it was powerful. I was crying. I mean, you could hear in the people's voices as they were saying, what do we want? Justice. When do we want it now? And it's like, at first they started out, they were a little apprehensive. And as they went on, you started to just feel the emotion and the frustration, and you could hear it in their voices. They were getting louder and more passionate, and it was tough to see. Patricia, I was thinking the same thing. She reminds me of Harley too. She does. Hey, Maria. So I struggle to even mention that because I'm not trying to, promote the situation over there. But I do think there will be more videos out because it appeared that people were filming on their phones. I just haven't seen them yet. So, okay. Her sister pleaded with friends on social media to not listen to false stories being shared about Micah. Micah was a God-fearing, joyful, loving woman who did not deserve the abuse she endured. If you hear anything about this from anyone other than her family, please question it. Reach out to her siblings or parents. And I'm going to play Micah talking about some of the things, what her life has been like, recently. Micah's friend wrote on Facebook, I talked to her multiple times in her final week here on Earth. She was making plans to get her hair cut, getting help with her car payment because she was a little short after paying her divorce lawyer, and planning to meet us for the second service at church on Sunday. My final text with her on Friday at 9:19 p.m. was a woman making plans to live. What happened between Friday night and Saturday? Ooh, okay, Deets. I wonder if I can find it over there so I can show you guys. Hey, Queen Bella. Because yeah, it was like, emotional. Queen Bella says this case has me so upset. She does me too, Deets. She also kind of looks like her. I agree. Oh, Meg, you go take a nap, babe, and come back and watch when you can. I understand. We got to take care of ourselves so we can keep taking care of other people and keep it pushing. So Fox News Digital did reach out to John Paul's Myrtle Beach congregation, Solid Rock at Market Common, for comment, but did not immediately hear back. Now, I also have they have a YouTube page. They were doing videos up until not long ago. They used to do live streams. I was looking today, trying to look and see what they did over there. Looks like their last live stream was, a few years ago. So they still, though, have been posting YouTube videos. And it's John Paul doing this series where I think everything in the series starts with an R. I'll have to take you guys over there to show you. But let's look at this article from the New York Post, just to kind of look through their version of what's going on. A South Carolina pastor claimed his wife of suicide Saturday. Guess there's a typo. 6 months after she filed for divorce, as her family pleaded for police to deeply investigate the sudden death. Micah Miller, 30, was found to have suffered a fatal gunshot to the head at Lumber River State Park in Lumberton, North Carolina, according to the local newspaper, the Robisonian. See, that's the one I was talking about that we've looked at with Letitia's case. Miller's husband, John Paul Miller, is the pastor at Solid Rock Church in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, who broke the news of her death during service after asking his congregation not to discuss it inside the church. He says, actually, I won't even read what he said exactly because I want you guys to hear that from him, but I want you to see this picture. She's just a really beautiful woman. Friends of the pastor's late second wife were taken aback over Micah Miller's death and urged officials to look into it, quote, deeply, unquote. This has to be at least looked into deeply. There's got to be some accountability here, Ken Young told WPDE, because, yeah, a tragic life was lost, and it's not just as simple as mental health issues. Officers are in the process of gathering information, Major Damian McLean told the outlet. Here's another photo of Micah and John Paul. So one of the things that I need to, see how this article, it lists her age, because there's some things I'm really curious where I can, if anybody has seen it confirmed, how old he is and what his life looked like before this relationship, because that's a source of some of the rumors. So if anybody knows that, let me know where I can find it. McLean revealed there was no indication of the community being in danger. As the pastor claims, he and his wife spent every night together. For hours, just talking and talking and talking. And you're going to hear that in a second. The case was dismissed in February, but a few days later, John Paul Miller filed for separate support and maintenance, seeking financial support as the couple were still legally married. In April, Micah also filed for separate support and maintenance with a hearing scheduled for June 5th. Her family is seeking justice for Micah as they claim a no contact order and divorce was filed within days before her death. We are devastated. Prayers are appreciated. So her sister Savannah shares on Facebook. Let's click this so I can show you guys. So she says, there's a lot of talk already going on, so I want to set the record straight. Our sister, Micah, passed away yesterday. Please do not listen to false stories being shared about her. Micah was a God-fearing, joyful, loving woman who did not deserve the abuse she endured. If you hear anything about this from anyone other than her family, please question it. Reach out to her siblings or parents. Keep our family in your prayers, and if you have any information that needs to be shared, please contact one of us. Please respect us in this time and honor her memory with joy that she is no longer suffering. And then we have this picture. Okay. Hey, Chase. Hey, Lynn. Hey, Be Real. Kathy. Oh, Lynn. I hope you're feeling better. Watching from Ireland. Hey, Laura. I'm glad that you're here. Justice for Micah. Hey, Legendary. What denomination is JP's church? Okay, so I believe it's a missionary Baptist because it said there was... Hold on. It had MB after the title of the church. So does that mean that's me assuming after seeing that either on, is it on the sign or, hold on. Hopefully it'll be in one of these things I've gathered to look at, because maybe it was during the protest earlier on that sign out in the front of the church. Let me see here. Well, let's go over here now, actually, because this, and I'll look while you guys listen to this. So this is his sermon while he's telling the congregation what's happened to Micah.
This pastor, John Paul Miller, led a whole church service on a Sunday before letting his congregation know that his beautiful wife, Micah, was no longer with them. She had died the day before. He had just found out, and he literally carried on with the whole
Is it Solid Rock Myrtle Beach, though? Because that could be the MB too. Sorry. I can't see your comments either because the way that StreamYard is doing me dirty right now, all I can see, like sometimes when you're sharing screen, you can see the comments, but right now it's just doing the full screen thing.
Service before sharing this message.
We're not going to do an altar call today. Instead, I'm going to have you stand up and I'm going to make an announcement. And after the announcement, I'm going to ask that you leave church quietly and don't talk about the announcement here in the building, please, if you can. So y'all can stand your feet.
Just a pause. Again, I can't see your comments, but I will be right back to check them. When I Google it, it says Solid Rock Baptist Church. So I do believe it is a Baptist, but I don't know if the MB is like a Myrtle Beach thing. And I also have got some video footage of the protest to show you guys right here too. Okay.
Before I make the announcement, I also want to say that my request to you is that you will continue to come to church and serve and give for the next little bit, because I don't want to I'm taking a little bit of a break and I don't want to have to worry about it.
Wait a minute. I'm taking a little break, but please still come and tithe and give donations. Is that what that meant? Because I've watched this like 10 times now, and that's what I make of it since the very first time I saw it. And if you guys think that he means something else, please feel free to put it in the comments, but just listen to that part one more time.
Before I make the announcement, I also want to say that my request to you is that you will continue to come to church and serve and give for the next little bit, because I don't want to have. I'm taking a little bit of a break, and I don't want to have to worry about the church. My break may be a few days, a few weeks. I don't know. I got a call late last night. My wife has passed away, and it was self-induced, and it was up in North Carolina. And we're gonna have a funeral for her next Sunday here at 3 p.m. And so it's all I can. Yeah, I'm just kind of on adrenaline right now. So y'all pray for me and my kids and everybody. And she wasn't. Y'all knew that she wasn't well mentally, and that she needed medicine that was hard to get to her. And so I'm sure there'll be more details to come. But just keep our family in your prayers. And I'm going to let Pastor Randall, my bishop, he can pray. I'll get a microphone, he'll pray out. And if you have anything you want to share as well, I appreciate it.
All right. So let me see what you guys have to say about that. Hey, Mo. Hey, Shar. Okay. Let me just go back just a little bit. Hey, Kimberly. Yes, apparently Mo and Co., the way that I understand it, it was after an entire sermon. But like I said, there's a lot of, the case is kind of blowing up on TikTok, and there's a whole lot of stuff. There's many things that are very interesting that I want to talk to you guys about, but there's a problem because the misinformation, especially like on TikTok, there's a lot of it. Deet says the scariest time for a woman is when she's trying to flee an abusive relationship or from a narcissist. If you know a woman doing that, reach out to her often. Absolutely. And they say, that is the most dangerous time, when somebody is trying to leave the relationship. Just like if you guys see, there are some photos that have went around and it's of John Paul with another woman. And I just want to say real loud and clear at the beginning, it was said that these photos, like, oh, look at him, he's not grieving. But I had seen another video where they go back and find the person where the photos originated, and it was from they're not recent. Now it still tells a story, and if whether this was a year and a half ago or recently, but it tells a little bit of a different story. So I heard they were not part of the Baptist convention. When you Google it, like on Google, if you look at their Google reviews, it is labeled, it says Baptist Church, there, but I am not sure 100%. Which part, Mayla's mom? Hey, addicted to law. Hey, Henry. Okay. That was so insincere and disgusting. Hey, you sexy cosmetics, classic narcissist. Yes, that's what he means. My mother's church called me about a week after her death asking if I was planning to continue her tithe. Oh my God. Yes, apparently this was at the end of the sermon. Just divorced my narcissistic husband. Good, Renee. I'm glad because nobody deserves that. He did have his wedding ring on still, Mayla's mom says. If I'm away for a while, no, if I get arrested for my wife. Mo and Co, there's no, I haven't seen, there some of the things that are being claimed, I haven't seen any proof of. So I just want to be a little bit careful. Okay, so let me go to the next thing I want to show you guys, which we have a few things to look at actually. Let's go over to Micah's Facebook and look at a video that she posted March 22nd. And she says, please share this with anyone struggling with leaving a dangerous situation because they think God will be mad at them. Hashtag abuse awareness, hashtag God loves you. And then after we finish this, we're going to look at some of the protests. But this is only 2 minutes long. It's hard to watch. So just want you guys to know.
So today my heart's a little heavy. I've had a lot of women that have reached out to me about sexual abuse. And I just want to tell you what a lot of people have told me lately and reminded me, because I think I forgot. I knew, but I pushed it in the back of my head just because of my situation. But you are the bride of Christ. Before anybody else's bride, male or female, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what gender you are. Abuse is abuse. And you are the bride of Christ. And my Bible says that he took all the abuse you could think of for you so that you didn't have to live that life of slavery and bondage and pain. Jesus took it all for you. So you don't have to stay in a abusive relationship, whether that's sexual, whether that's somebody forcing you to take illegal drugs, or alcohol abuse, or physical abuse, psychological abuse, making you think that this is all your fault, or you're a bad mom, or you're a bad wife, or you're a bad husband, or you're not giving it your all when you know you are. God hates divorce, but why? According to everybody I've asked and the scriptures that I've found, it's because it hurts people. But does abuse hurt people? How do you think God feels about that? So I want to remind you, like a bunch of people have been reminding me lately, that I'm God's bride first. And even an earthly spouse who's a good spouse, when they know that their bride is being hurt, just imagine what an earthly spouse does. What do you think your heavenly spouse does when you're the bride of Christ and he sees his bride going through abuse and hurt? What do you think he thinks about that? So, encouragement in all this is you are the bride of Christ first before anybody else's. And he's got you. And he sees you. And he loves you.
Now, does that not just say so much without saying it? You know, it really does. To me, it says a lot without necessarily saying it. And she does sound very wise and just precious. Hey, Jameson, been deep dived into this, and it's all very sad and suspicious. So Deet says her sister's Facebook is very interesting, and I do have that here pulled up from that one post about her, and we're going to look at this in just a second. But before we get to that, oh, wait. So I think, actually, let me not make any assumptions. So, you know, this is the thing. When we are on here talking about these cases and things like that, I think that we just have to evolve along the way with how we cover things, how we fact check things. And that's just what I'm trying to do. So, you know, when you hear me mention I can't verify something, or like just now I went to maybe speak on something and then I catch myself, that's just like me trying to evolve and do it as respectfully as I can. None of us are perfect and we all can make mistakes, but we also have to be humble enough to try to do our best. And it's okay to be wrong sometimes. You know what I mean? So that's all. Okay. So this is someone on Twitter who is kind of sharing about the protest today. So I'll just read you their post. I can't verify, you know, I don't know this person, Robbie Harvey, but let's read it together. So, protest is growing outside of Solid Rock Church in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. What we know: Pastor John Paul Miller announced last Sunday at the end of service his wife committed suicide. He then told his congregation to leave without talking about it. Hey, Lip Locked. Thank you, Mo and Co. Just checking you guys for a second. Okay. Days before her death, Micah Miller filed for spousal support a month after her husband did the same. Micah uploaded a series of videos accusing her husband of abuse. In one video, she suggests she was forced to take illegal drugs. Since her death, friends and family have come forward demanding an investigation. They say this was no suicide. In an interview after her death, Pastor John Paul was eager to point out the mental illness history of his wife. Now I'm going to show you guys a little interview he did with the local news in a moment. Pastor John Paul's alleged girlfriend, Susie Skinner, has been seen in public with him on multiple occasions. Susie's former husband, who was wheelchair bound, died on Labor Day 2021 by falling into a pool. So that's the one thing, they say alleged girlfriend. I don't know if that's true. That's the woman who's been seen with him in these photographs, where I believe the time of these photographs is off. There's some misinformation going around about that. Apparently, he was not just wheelchair bound, but paraplegic, and he drowned in a swimming pool where, like it says here, allegedly, and I don't know that this is even true, but since it's in this post, John Paul officiated the funeral. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. I think that we have to do some more digging to know, a little more about that. But here is some video clips of the protest. So at one point, they're standing directly across from the church. You see the church right there. At other points, they're walking around the block. I did see the woman who kind of organized this protest, and she doesn't know Micah, but she just saw her story and felt emotionally called to it. She claimed she had a dream, this was what she was meant to do, basically. She also talks about being a victim of some religious abuse and other things like that. So, okay, let me play this clip of the protest. Like I said, when I watched this earlier, I cried. I'm the kind of person, though, I will cry when things are intense, not even if they're sad, just if they're very emotionally intense. So, like Bentley's first day of first grade, I looked like a damn fool crying when the teacher was going through, showing us the papers, basically a few things that she had planned and kind of who she is. And it was just all this emotions. It wasn't really sad at all. Like he'd already done kindergarten. It was just like the emotions of the situation bring that out of me. Like I'm that kind of person. So this was just very intense and emotional and just special. And I can't imagine what Mr. John Paul must have thought seeing this take place, whether he saw it in person, social media, whatever. Okay, so let me rewind this. I'm going to turn it up a little bit because I'm going to mute because I want you guys to really hear and feel like the situation.
What do we want it now? What do we want? Justice for Micah. What do we want it now? What do we want? Justice for Micah. What do we want it now? What do we want? Justice for Micah. What do we want it now? What do we want? Justice for Micah. What do we want it now? What do we want? Justice for Micah. What do we want it now? What do we want? Justice for Micah. What do we want it now? What do we want? Justice for Micah. What do we want it now? What do we want? Justice for Micah. What do we want it now?
I would say there was a couple hundred people here. Let's go to the
Justice for Micah. Now. Justice for Micah. Now. Justice for Micah. Now. Justice for Micah.
Now, there were some moments of this protest that were like that. There's nothing wrong with how they sound, but there are moments where the crowd gets so amped up. I will try to find more footage of the rest of it so I can kind of show you guys what I saw. But and I do know that Deed said there was more on Facebook about the protest. Whew, I know. No, I appreciate that, Mo and Co. By the way, Mo says, I'm also paraplegic and I swim, so it's possible to swim. And I honestly, I didn't realize that, and I really appreciate you sharing. And Lynn, thank you so much for sharing the DV hotline numbers. Tiff, what you up to this Sunday, Tiff? Okay. So now let's go look at her sister's Facebook. So I do know that, right now there's a vigil being held on the beach for Micah. It started at 3. So if you see here, this is like a flyer for the vigil. And I saw photos. She was a missionary in Kenya. So maybe it is a missionary Baptist. I don't know if that's even what that means, but there are some photos of Micah with some of these kids from Africa. So let me read this to you guys. Micah was a missionary in Kenya and had recently started the Works of Faith First Academy through her Papa, Pastor Jumba. Her sister Sierra will continue the legacy in her stead to the best of her ability. It will not end with Micah. She had already started the paperwork to create a new charity under her control, and that will be announced at a later date. Dare to Care Missions was taken over by her estranged husband. Okay. She says, we would like to extend an invitation to all who know and love our beautiful sister, Micah. We will be having a celebration of life in the same location as her recent baptism on the beach. Please come as you are, Sunday, May 5th at 3 p.m. Justice for Micah. Feel free to bring beach chairs and umbrellas if needed. So this person just made a post and tagged, I think her sister, but maybe some other family, praying for all involved. And I pray for my sponsor and his wife, who I've personally watched him be tormented and harassed. Micah will be tremendously missed. Love you, Brian and Angela Clark. And to Nathaniel Francis, Sierra Francis, Michael Francis, Anna Francis, and the rest of the family, please know you're being lifted in prayer daily. Okay, so this person... I feel like I should read this only because the way it starts, I don't know. I'm just going to read it to you guys because if you hear the beginning, it says, I know this is long, but it is the truth. Please take the time to read. Micah deserves our total honesty and support. So I'm just going to read it to you guys. So here I sat for almost a week, mourning the death of Micah Miller, watching, waiting, and praying for answers. I've only posted on her and how I have felt about losing someone who was such a sweet soul. I miss her, and I am struggling to wrap my head around her being gone and the circumstances surrounding her death. I will not sit here and pretend that I know exactly what happened on Saturday, but I know a lot. I am well aware in the past that Micah had mental health issues, and I witnessed her struggle firsthand. But I also know that in the last few months, this has been used as a weapon to control her. The Micah I saw at the beginning of her mental health journey was not the Micah I witnessed in the last month. The Micah I was seeing was a grown woman trying to break the chains of an abusive marriage. When I talked to Micah last, she was making plans, moving forward, and trusting God. Her faith was her shield. She had reconnected with people she had been isolated from, myself included. She was sorting out her new normal, and God was putting the right people around her. When we had our first meeting in years, we sat at lunch and talked until dinner time, 5 hours. We had been in regular communication since that day. I was part of Micah's church for years. We did life together during that season. Leaving that church was one of the hardest things Brian and I ever did. We loved the people in that church, but God had made it clear that we needed to go because it was a toxic environment. we endured relentless attacks from the pastor. It was unlike anything we had ever experienced. In ministry, God calls us where He needs us, and instead of supporting and loving us, our entire family came under attack. There were attempts to sabotage us in our new church home, calls made to employers, dropping in at my place of business in the middle of my workday when I refused to answer calls. The calls, more than I can count. Emails that were rants in writing. It was a nightmare for close to a month. Micah wasn't just leaving a church. She was leaving her marriage. She was done. She hired a lawyer. She moved out and she was getting a divorce. She was left with nothing but her faith, her family, and her small circle of friends. Was it hard? Yes. She had her tires cut multiple times, found multiple trackers on her car, couch hopped in fear of being found, and was hospitalized by her husband when it was completely unnecessary. She confided to me that she felt like an orphan and feared that no church would want her because of him. What she didn't know is that a large portion of us who had experienced the wrath of exiting that church were waiting for her with open arms. I talked to her multiple times in her final week here on earth. She was making plans to get her hair cut, getting help with her car payment because she was a little short after paying her divorce lawyer. This is the clip that was in the news, or this is the post that was clipped in the news that we just read. And planning to meet us for the second service at church on Sunday. My final text with her was on Friday at 9:19 p.m., and this was a woman making plans to live. What happened between Friday night and Saturday? I was so overwhelmed seeing two certain people on the news last night trying to minimize Micah by painting her mentally ill and crying like they were currently present in her life. They were not. She wasn't having a mental breakdown when the scales were lifted from her eyes and she walked away. She was a warrior wearing the full armor of God. Okay, so what we're going to do now, we're going to keep looking at the sisters' Facebook because I think that Deet says it's very interesting. It's going to tell us some of kind of what was going on. But first, I want to show you this new, what I believe to be the news clip that she's referencing here. So give me just a second because I have it in my messenger for us to look at. Loved one's grave. And then I also have, okay. One second, I'm sorry. And then when I was searching, this other video came up and it was of him doing a baptism on someone named Sarah on a very small little channel. And I also pulled that up just in case we want to look at it. But let's look at this. So this is the local news. It's the only one I can find like period of the local news in this area, at least by just putting her name into YouTube and doing like the filtering by upload date. But, you know, there could be other ones titled differently or something like that. But let's listen to this.
Community in mourning after the unexpected death of a local pastor's wife. ABC 15's Mike Owen has been working for you to learn more about the life and death of Micah Miller. He joins us now live outside their church in Market Commons. So, Mike, what have you learned today?
Micah's friends tell me that she led women's ministry and worship right here at Solid Rock Church. While the death investigation is ongoing, her friends can't believe she's gone and they want answers. But her husband tells me she had a long struggle with mental illness. Micah Miller died last week in the Orem community. The investigation into her death started at Lumber River State Park on Saturday. The Robeson County Sheriff's Office says they're actively investigating how the 30-year-old died. Her friends remembering how she lived her life.
She had a heart for missions. When she went to Africa this time, she just fell in love. That was her heart. She'd do anything for anybody.
She's survived by her husband, the pastor at Solid Rock Church in Myrtle Beach. He says Micah dreamed of opening up a school in Africa and was always giving to others.
She was probably the greatest wife anyone could ask for.
So I just wanted to pause for a second because here's one of the pictures I was talking about with her in Africa. And then we're about to get into just, when the news interviews someone, you don't get to see the whole thing. It's frustrating. You just get to see little clips of it. I would love to see the full interview. The woman who had just spoken just prior to this, says that she had a heart for missions. I'm curious, is that they said the two people who were on the news last night. So in that post from her friend. So it just has me curious, but let's listen to what he has to say here.
To school in Africa and was always giving to others.
She was probably the greatest wife anyone could ask for. She was incredibly affirming. We spent every night together for hours just talking and talking and talking.
We're going to come to that.
Miller says her death was a suicide, but a cause of death has not been released. But many of her friends are struggling to come to terms with that.
This has to be at least looked into deeply. There's got to be some accountability here because it's a tragic life was lost, and it's not just as simple as somebody had some mental issues.
But Miller says Micah battled mental health issues for years, even speaking openly about
then we
it to
have
the
those
congregation.
folks. So really, I should not make any assumptions of who they're talking about in that post. So, yeah, I don't know, but
she had struggled with suicide before, and each time, helped her through it, took her to her doctor, and we got through it, and everything was fine. And she even gave a few testimonies here at church. We have on video of times where she had battled suicide, but God took care of her and got her through it.
For families dealing with mental health issues, the pastor at Solid Rock Church has a message.
The second you see any type of sign, get them to a doctor. The second you see it, don't wait.
yeah, okay. I have some things to say, okay, about this little interview here. And look, oftentimes we're talking about these cases where people are being blamed for no reason, or, but with Micah documenting her trying to leave an abusive marriage and things like that, I think that this is a bit different. So, first of all, yes, Teacup. Okay, Teacup says the fact that he is telling people it was by her own hand ahead of an official cause is sus. Then he goes on and takes it to the next level by saying, she talked about it and we documented it we have it on video. Basically, to me, just trying to offer up proof that that's what happened. Looking behind him, you have this picture here behind him for this interview. I'm sorry, but the first person that was in here, there was a cooler in behind her. Let me go back to it. See how there's this cooler in behind him? This looks to be the same. Yes, okay. We have this red and white cooler. So I do believe that I'm not going to make assumptions, but I'm just going to note that I believe this woman is sitting to the right of him. Because if you see this cooler with this thing, she must work for him. Because here we have the cooler, with that on top of it. But let me go back to what he says.
She was probably the greatest wife anyone could ask for. She was incredibly affirming.
She was incredibly affirming. I don't know. It just, this guy, he irks me, you guys.
Every night together for hours, just talking and talking and talking.
We spent every night together for hours. That's odd that he would even say that. It's your wife. Like, I realized they were separated and they had been having trouble for a while, but to throw that in there, it just stood out to me as odd.
Miller says her death was a suicide, but a cause of death has not been released. But many of her friends are struggling to come to terms with that.
This has to be at least looked into deeply. There's got to be some accountability here because
health issues for years, even speaking openly about it to the congregation.
She had struggled with suicide before, and each time, helped her through it, took her to her doctor, and we got through it, and everything was fine. And she even gave a few testimonies here at church. We have on video of times where she had battled suicide, but God took care of her.
I'm sorry. That is just so odd to me. The high-pitched, fake, sad voice. Yes. He put that part in her obituary. I saw the obituary in a TikTok today, but I didn't want to like pull TikToks into this because there's so many that are probably inaccurate. Okay. So let's go back to her sister's Facebook. 2 days ago, in keeping with Micah and what she started, here's a short video of a song that's been sticking with me through these terrible days and the even longer nights. Waiting up, hoping that when I do fall asleep, this will all have been a terrible dream. This hour is dark and it's hard to see what you are doing here in the ruins and where this will lead. Oh, but I know that down through the years, I'll look on this moment and see your hand on it and know you were here. And I'll testify of the battles you've won, how you were my portion when there wasn't enough. And I'll testify of the seas that we've crossed, the waters you parted, the waves that I've walked. My God did not fail. I believe the video that I was referencing is another one of her singing. I don't think it's this exact one. But, okay, let's look at this post. This comes from a Nabil Shahzad. And she says, Micah, every day when we get up, we talk about you. We miss you so much. Every passing day, still cannot believe that you are not here. You are just gone too soon. Well, last few months, while you were going through some tough times, we are so glad that we were in your life, helping you, trying to encourage you to do whatever we can. We are so glad that we can do something for you, but still feel somehow the time can go back and we can do even more. We are so thankful that you wanted to see us on Friday and spend 4 hours with us so we could talk and laugh and spend some time. Justice for Micah. Here she says, just taking a moment in the midst of the storm to say thank you to those who are continuing to support our family through this nightmare. The emptiness we feel is truly unimaginable. She was a strong, bold woman of God. We know that so many of you feel this gut-wrenching loss with us. The fight is not over. Please continue to reach out, support in any way that you can. Pray, pray, pray. Though we may not respond, we see the messages and appreciate every one of you who truly loved Micah. Man, I just can't get over how young she was. Here is her sister's Venmo. It's at Sierra Francis on Venmo. And it's just, she wrote, if anyone can help pay financial for flights, hotels, food for our parents, grandparents, please reach out or send funds with a note, #Justice for Micah. Hey, Bendy. I've watched some of his sermons, Mayla, Mom, but I haven't seen the compilation. But I will show you what I did see. Let me see.
But it says, I just wanted to sing this really quick and see if it encourages you. I hope it does. But it says, I pray for your healing. Circumstances would change. I pray that the fear inside would flee in Jesus' name. I pray that a breakthrough would happen today. I pray miracles over your life in Jesus' name, in Jesus' name.
Oh my God Almighty. Whew. I cannot imagine how her family must feel. So this is the post I read to you guys a moment ago where her sister talks about all of the abuse that her sister endured and how if you hear anything about this from anyone other than her family, question it because people are not necessarily telling the truth. 7 traits. Now look here. March 18th, Sierra shared this. Wow. 7 traits of a narcissistic pastor. Wow. Or saying she's mentally unwell. She shares this post. When the narcissist says my ex is crazy. And this was in March also, but March the 18th. March the 17th. As I was sitting in church today, I received a text message. Usually I don't check my phone. I keep it on silent, but with everything going on with my sister Micah, I've made it a point to try to keep an eye on it for fear of her safety due to others' behavior towards her. To no surprise, it was a message about what was said from the pulpit today in Myrtle Beach at her church. I have so much sadness that somebody could take the position that was hopefully given to them by God and use it for their own benefit, abusing God's gift of free will. Please hear my heart when I say, if you attend that church, guard your heart and get in the Bible. The church is the people in God, not the pastor. When the pastor is married and he's on stage giving a sermon saying he's going to pray to God for a hot wife, that should raise a million red flags, which he did say that. He said, well, Mayla's mom, is that the compilation you're talking about? I've seen one where he says, he's going to get a hot wife who loves Jesus. When a pastor is on stage in a sermon saying he's going to wave to all his Facebook haters on his private plane on the way to Miami, that should raise a red flag. When the pastor is up there saying that he's angry at God for always making his sermons about what he's going through in his life, you should take that as a red flag. When the pastor is saying he shouldn't be up there preaching to you, you should hear what he's saying and take it seriously. So in this video, he's like, you want to know what I'm going through in my life? Like, basically, that's what I'm preaching about. I can only imagine how emotionally straining it is for Micah having somebody in a position of influence spreading lies about her to the entire congregation. And I commend my sister for standing tall and standing on God's word. And then she shares 2 Bible verses. This was shared March the 17th. Oh, Mayla's mom, I know I've seen it, but I can't remember that part. Let my husband say something like that. He can get all of that, but he'll also have the ghost of Chinley to haunt him for all of time. Bendy. Wow, though. I mean, the fact that this is being documented back in March 16th. Please do not fall for the BS being shared about my sister needing restoration, healing, and forgiveness. Narcissist working publicly with no accountability is insane. Let's show Micah some love from all her people. Share, share, share. Stolen from another Facebook post. She shares about religious abuse and more, I think, about narcissistic pastors. March the 14th, Satan is not fighting churches. He's joining them. He does more harm by sowing tares than by pulling up wheat. He accomplishes more by imitation than by outright opposition. Friendly reminder, my sister Micah does not have access to her phone, email, Facebook, or charity account. She is not making these posts or sharing them. If you see any post, message, or text from my sister, Micah Miller, and this is February 15th, now we're a whole nother month ahead. If you see any posts, messages, or texts from my sister, Micah Miller, it's not her. She doesn't have access to her phone, email, Facebook, none of it. You can see from her post who's actually controlling her account. Don't respond to the nonsense, please. Oh, look at them. So, okay, let's go now. Let me see what else I've got, because I grabbed I know that I have other things. Oh, let me get to the church's YouTube page for a second. This is just unbelievable. For months and months and months, they're raising alarm bells on social media. It's really, really sad. Here is the video I found by searching John Paul Miller, and this was from 3 years ago. It was like, because I did this is him and Micah baptizing a girl named Sarah. I did a YouTube search for his name, and then I did the filter for date of upload, and this was the furthest back it went. Let me read to you the thing. We're going to look at the church's page too, but it says on Saturday, March 20th, 21, Sarah Shelton was baptized by Pastor John Paul Miller and his wife Micah Miller of Solid Rock at Market Common in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Sarah loves the Lord and has accepted him as her Lord and Savior. Her baptism is a declaration of her love for the Lord and her eagerness to serve him in all that she does. It's pretty quick, so let's just hear this or watch this for a second, and then we'll go to.
Lord, thank you for her heart to serve you. Thank you for her heart to honor you. Thank you for her heart to always put you first. Lord, we thank you for allowing Sarah to have an amazing, amazing destiny, and we thank you for being with her every single step of the way as she fulfills that destiny. In Jesus' mighty name, amen. Sarah, we baptize you in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
And that's, like I said, Micah with him. Wow. Wow, 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 you guys. Hey, Solo Sock. Hey, Victorine. Glad that you're here. Her sister had her back. Yes, she did. I'm glad this is documented. I completely agree. Okay, so let me see. I also was trying to pull the TikTok that I think you're talking about. Mayla's mom, where he references those things that she talks about in her post. It's a TikTok by Daily Mail where they shared it. But first, I want to show you. Hold on. His church. Of course. Solid Rock Church. Okay. This is it. Now, like I was saying earlier, so I looked and they've been uploading videos, occasionally. We have 13 days ago. They did live streams, and I think maybe through COVID is what I'm assuming, because like the latest one was 4 years ago. So it kind of makes sense that they may have been doing the live streams through COVID. They also have these videos. And you can find him on podcast Apple, Solid Rock with JP Miller. But let me just go to this one. I was watching some of this earlier.
Married, if you're single, you want this dream to come true in your life. But while we're waiting on that, we can't be discontent where God has us right now. I said where God has us right now, and God has all of us in a different season, in a different place of life right now. Being content doesn't mean we don't want change. It doesn't mean we're settling for less than God's best. It means we're not fighting in life. It means that somehow we can find peace in the midst of our dreams not coming true today. It means we're trusting God and we're grateful for what he's already given us, even though we want more. Even though we want the door to open, even though we want this to take place in life, and we're praying and we're opening.
So I'm going to go ahead and just tell you guys, there are a lot of rumors going around about when they met and how they met. I haven't been able to verify these yet. And when, but I think I will just tell you what's been said. And there have been some like photos and things shared, but I don't know if this is the actual situation, but this is the way that it appears based on the research I've done. And this storyline is all over. I'm talking in hundreds of videos on TikToks. So apparently Micah met him in church, but she was 14. And I think she was 14 or 15. I've also seen 15. And I believe he's like 14 years her senior. And I think it had something to do with the youth group. So it, like I said, I don't know how to verify that. That is kind of the story as it's going around. But I would like to know if that's true, because that is very concerning, But let me let him play for a little bit more.
This was going to be it. We thought that everything was going to be fixed now, and it did happen. And David understood that, you know what? God has me here for a reason, so I just got to trust God that he knows what's best. And I'm going to keep serving. I'm going to keep doing the right thing if I'm in the shepherd's fields. I'm going to keep doing the right thing if Nabal's after me. I'm going to keep doing the right thing when Saul's after me. I'm just going to keep honoring him, because I know at some point he'll get me where I want to be. And so many times we fight where we're at in life, and we fight the season that we're in. Philippians 4:13 says this: I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. We all love this scripture. Everybody loves it. It's the second most famous scripture in the Bible, right? John 3:16 and then Philippians 4:13.
Okay, so I think this is how we're going to wrap it up. I'll just show you guys a couple of these videos because I want you to see, I believe it's this one where we hear, let me just play it.
This is the worst sermon I've ever preached my whole life. I can't stand it. I just want to give the altar call and quit now. One day, listen, if you ever want to know what I'm going through in life, it's always about what I'm preaching about. God is so to do that every single time. One day I'm going to preach about getting rich, strong, healthy, and finding a hot wife that loves Jesus. That's what I'm going to do. I'm just kidding. My wife went in the hospital.
Yes, he is.
I looked at her phone and I counted over the past 2 years, 18 people who had texted her and said, if you ever want to talk about your husband, you can talk to me and say anything and I'll keep it confidential. Why the heck does somebody want to hear what somebody else says about their spouse? And 2 of those 18 were men.
So this was March 11th, okay? This is what the sister was referring to. I'm going to keep letting it play, but just understand what he says there. I put my wife in the hospital for her mental health, and I started going through her phone, and I found all these people who were trying to tell her if she needs somebody to talk to about me, they'll keep it confidential. And 2 of them were men. Saying this in a sermon, okay? Cray Cray, his wife has been found deceased of a gunshot wound. He is claiming that it was self-harm. Her family is claiming, no, please look into this closer. There's something going on. And her sister has documented back at least until February of what Micah was going through, which she was also talking about and documenting.
When I read that, I thought, Mark Cass today, he's one of our elders here, and Jack oversees our New Testament discipleship. Could you see Mark calling another woman and saying, you know what, I just want to tell you some things about my wife I don't like? Or could you see Jackie calling a woman or a man, either one? Look, if someone wants to call you and say bad things about somebody else, that's a demon talking to you. And the only way to respond is with the word of God. You see, demons love words that line up with what they want. They cannot stand the word of God. So if anyone calls you and says, listen, I need to tell you about what my husband's doing, my wife, you say, listen, here's what the Bible says you need to do with
so
that.
She shouldn't be able to talk to anybody. No bullshit. You should be able to vent to your friends. If you don't want people finding out what the hell you've been doing, then stop doing it. I can't stand that. Like for me, when people try to hide their actions, their words, it's like very clear that they're obviously ashamed of them. Then you probably shouldn't be doing them. He is telling us himself what kind of human he is. I know, Kathy, and yes, he is. People were onto him. Roxanne, nobody's getting notified, and it's very frustrating. I'm glad that you're here now, but all right, let me just show you these couple of videos I saved. This one is the one that talks about the obituary. Remember, I told you guys I had seen it in a TikTok.
The obituary for 30-year-old Micah Miller, who passed away on April the 2024, just last Saturday, has been released, and I want to share some things that this obituary says. Just a little bit of background. We know that Micah had just 2 days before her death, she had served her husband with divorce papers as well as a temporary restraining order. It is widely reported that she was basically in hiding because her tires had been slashed and she had been being stalked. It is not said who is responsible for those things, but according to several things that she had posted on her Facebook, it seemed that she was a victim of ABUSE. It says that she and her husband, John Paul Miller, met in 2009, had been friends since 2009, and they got married in 2017. It is reported to me that when they met, that Micah was 14 years old and that she was actually in a youth group at a church that JP pastored.
Now,
JP is.
Let me just say, these are things that have been alleged and people are reporting on. I do not know if they're true or not. That's why at the beginning I was not sure if we would look at these TikToks I saved just in case I wanted to. But just remember, these are not things that are confirmed that anywhere that I can see. Oh, thank you, Queen Bella.
Also 14 years Micah senior. Here it says she helped Pastor JP with the church in every way. It lists all the ways. And then it says that she truly served Jesus and her husband with all her heart. This is the second video I've made on this because I had lots of strong opinions about serving your husband. And yes, I know what the Bible says about serving your husband, but we're in 2024 right now, and I'm not serving any other human being, period, which is probably why I'm not married. And I mean, absolutely no disrespect to her or her family and friends.
Now, let me just pause it here. I will post it. My phone died, so I was going to send it over to myself and read it in full. I will just screenshot it, post it on the community tab after the live since Queen Bella sent it, and thank you so much for that. So here's the part that people are talking about. It says, I'm out of breath because I was trying to reach my Red Bull in the back of the fridge while this was playing, and then something fell, and it was just stressful and hard to get out, but I got it. Okay, but it says, she truly served Jesus and her husband with all of her heart. She would praise her husband after every church service, telling him he was the best preacher in the world, even if it wasn't true. She also told him he was the funniest preacher in the world, even though that wasn't true either. And that's in parentheses. Micah loved her family so much. She looked forward to every text from her father or brother. She sought every opportunity to pour into her sisters. There were thousands of nights that she would pray out loud for God to always bless and take care of her family. They were constantly on her mind. Micah wanted more than anything for each member of her family to serve Jesus continually. Now, I would just assume that the pastor was the one who, wrote the obituary, right? I don't know, because she's married and has been for so long. So can't even, no, Solo Sock, she's on TikTok, so she's spelling out the word abuse because TikTok is more strict. I know that I have one more chance or my channel is going to be terminated over there. So I don't even hardly post stuff. And I've never really posted anything like, besides the stuff we talk about here. So TikTok's just more strict. Okay. Now, let me see what else I wanted to show you guys. We'll just look at these. One is the family member, right here singing, and I want to show you, but let me see what this one is.
Let's dive a little deeper into Micah and JP's relationship. When Micah was just 14, she started attending JP's church Solid Rock at Market Common. This is where she met 28-year-old pastor JP Miller, where he started grooming her while he was married with 5 children of his own. They later married when Micah was just 23 and JP was 37. Friends have stated that JP JP was verbally, financially, mentally, physically, and spiritually abusive towards Micah for years, and she was also essayed by JP throughout.
I don't know if that's true. You know, this is just what's being reported. I actually am going to skip the rest of this one. Let's.
Hey, everybody.
Okay. Here's a different video of her talking, different than the one that I showed you guys a little bit ago, but I want you to hear it.
Hey, everybody. I just want to let you know that I'm alive and well, and life's been kind of crazy the couple past weeks, months, years, but I've kind of had to keep my circle really small for the past couple weeks.
I mean, how absolutely freaking sad. The way that it starts, I just want you guys to know that I'm alive and well, and she just sounds so,
Just because I'm going through a lot and it's hard and it's my cross to bear. It's the thing that God has put in my life to deal with, and I don't want to bring a lot of people into it. I'm so thankful to God for a strong family and the friends that God has put in my life to be there for me at this time.
defeated. Yep.
I just wanted to share that my heart and my prayer is that the church would stay strong, that y'all would stick together, because the church is God's people. It's not a man, it's not a person, it's not me, it's God's people, the bride of Christ. And there's a lot of really good people in the church that
Hold up. This is just tough to see and watch, but I do want to read this comment here from B, who says, clearly not welcome here. Thanks. Sorry for whatever. I'll move on to another channel. Carry on, chat. Well, everybody's welcome here. I don't know what happened. As long as people are respectful, you know, they can have any opinions and everyone's welcome here. I must have missed it. But also, if you want to move on to another channel, hope you have a lovely day. Okay, let me keep playing this.
that I just hope would continue on. Press toward the calling, run your race, stay encouraged, stay in your word, keep worshiping. Like I can't wait to worship again with everybody, but for now I'm just worshiping with me and Jesus to God. And I don't think God would be pleased with me if I just jumped right into missions and women's events and creative directing and worship leading and stuff. I think when your world is shook up, you need to take a pause. And I can only pray that more people will take a pause and I'm trying to get my priorities straight right now. And that's making sure that my heart doesn't have any unforgiveness, bitterness, resentment, just forgiveness and hope for the future and peace.
Yes, they are, K-Brace.
Because you can't put a price on peace from God. So thank you for all your prayers and support. Know that I have to keep my circle really, really small right now. I'm used to having a really big circle, so it's hard because I want to reach out to everybody and tell you how much I love you and I miss you. But this is the best way that I know how. So I love you all. I miss you. Thank you for your love and support over the last couple years. And some of you, up to 18 years walking with me as my friends. And for right now, I've just had to put everything on pause to get myself right. And I think God's happy with that. So keep praying for me. Thank you. And I love you. I'll be praying for you.
Oh my God. It's just so sad. All right, here's her sister. I'm going to show you guys this one.
say thank you to everyone who has reached out to my family regarding
Well,
these circumstances.
I'm sorry. I said, I'm not, I don't, here's her family. Let me say that. She looks similar to some of the people in the family pictures, but I don't know exactly who's who. So I misspoke there. This is one of her family members. All right, let's listen.
I know that Micah has reached a lot of people, and this isn't done. It's not finished. We will figure things out, and it's all in God's timing. And again, the one thing Micah would do right now is try to support someone else. Support someone else through your own trials, through your own.
Okay, so I just want to say Victorine says, so it was ruled suicide and the family are questioning. No, it hasn't been ruled anything yet, but now her husband is claiming it was suicide and claiming it was self-harm and claiming these mental health issues and all of that. Her family is just asking police, please look into this closely. Allie, I say this with no hesitation. You are the sweetest, most caring person on these YouTube streets. You have a loving and kind heart. Aw, tell the truth. Thank you. That is very sweet. And I appreciate that so much. And you guys are what makes this whole place so special. So thank you. I couldn't watch this on other channels. Well, I'm glad you're here, Debbie Doodles. I'm glad all you guys are here. Hey, Layro Mitchell. Okay, so I want to grab something while we're listening to this quickly. I want to look in that local paper where she was found. So if you weren't here in the beginning, I said, she was found. She was actually lived and was found in a couple towns that we're pretty familiar with on this channel because of the horrible tragedy that was what happened to Gannon Stalk. And, we know that Letitia was arrested in Myrtle Beach in Horry County. And we also know that she was from Lumberton in North Carolina. And Micah was actually found in a park in Lumberton. So.
Issues, pray for someone else. So this song has been on my heart ever since we found out, and I just wanted to share it with you. It's called Clean by Hillsong. Precious blood has left me forgiven, pure like the whitest of snow, powerful to make sin and shame retreat. This covenant is making me whole. So I will rise and lift my head, for by his mercy my life was spared. The highest name has set me free. Because of Jesus, my heart is clean. Purify my heart in your presence. Teach me to discover the joy of holiness that forms as you draw me close. In you what was lost is restored. So I will rise and lift my head, for by his mercy my life was spared. The highest name has set me free. Because of Jesus, my heart is clean.
Okay. All right, you guys, I just wanted to play that. I'm sure YouTube will not, or Hillsong or whoever. I know that that's a pretty popular group. I just don't know anything about them. Okay, so I was trying to find this article from the local news, and I'm really hoping, actually, I know that one of the articles we just read had it hyperlinked. So if it is not in this Crime Online article, we're going to look there. So, pastor claims wife fatally shot herself in the head 6 months after she filed for divorce. North Carolina officials are investigating the death of a woman who was reportedly shot in the head on Saturday. So this gives a little more detail about about where she was shot. WPDE reported that Micah was shot and killed at Lumber River State Park in Lumberton. Robeson County Police confirmed they are investigating her death, but her husband said she killed herself. Citing court records, the New York Post reported that she filed for divorce in October of 2023. And according to the Robesonian, her family is claiming she also sought a no-contact order days before her death. Now, when you go to the Robesonian to try to see, this is what kept happening. Just now when I was trying to find the article. So it's not going to let us look at that. Let me see if it will let us look at the local news here. The greatest wife. Husband speaks out after Myrtle Beach woman dies in North Carolina. Major Damian McLean with the Robeson County Sheriff's Office said they are actively investigating the death of 30-year-old Micah Miller. Now, I will say, Robeson County is not a very popular, crazy area. It's not densely populated, rather, for lack of a better word. If this police department is pushed to do a press conference or something like that, it's going to be very interesting for us to see. It's going to be interesting to watch their investigation. This courthouse, they are still so not with the times that with old cases, if you want to get information on them, you have to show up in person or physically mail certain documents, when many places have now moved on to electronic documentation of a lot of these things. Not there where Robeson County. Also, the area, even though it's not very densely populated, not the most popular county by any means in North Carolina, most populated rather in North Carolina, there is a lot of crime there. So their police department is used to dealing with a lot of crime, a lot of homicides. There she is. Let me see. McLean added officers are in the process of gathering information from people in South Carolina and North Carolina. He said at this point, the investigation has not revealed any information that indicates there is a danger to the community following her death. ABC 15 had the opportunity to talk with him on Thursday about his wife. She was, this is the one we saw, where he said she was the greatest wife anyone could ever ask for. She was incredibly affirming. We spent every night together for hours just talking and talking and talking. Now, McLean said they plan to release additional information regarding the death investigation in the coming days. So I'll be watching for that, and I'll let you guys know as soon as it comes out. But I wanted to go, I saw J-Lo Beauty, man. Hold on. I had seen there was an article hyperlinked about the protest happening today. Let's see. Here she is performing at the church. She is survived by her husband, siblings, and 5 stepchildren. So that gives me a little bit, remember, I told you guys, or I showed you the video where they talk about him being married before with 5 kids. Well, it looks like this is going to confirm that she has 5 stepchildren. So Okay, here we go. This is the one I was talking about. Oh, hold on. Let me plug us up and check on you guys, and then we'll read this and I'll let you guys go. The spending every night talking for hours is the new. We had the best day ever and we were so happy. Yes. It's freaking, I don't know, red flags all over it. Okay. Hey, crazy mama. The entire church shunned her. I was livid, but then I thought, that's okay. They'll have to answer to God. Shame on them. Thank you, Patricia, and thank you for being here. Perhaps they should look deeper into the death of his friend with a paraplegic husband while they are at it. I agree. Hilson House of Crazy, and let's hope that we find something out of that. I mean, look, this... Oh, Patricia. This is just the facts. There's good and bad in everything. There's good and bad police, good and bad teachers, good and bad YouTubers. There are people out there that have the best intentions who truly care about other people and just want to do the right thing. There are people who, who are the opposite of that. And you do find that in churches too. And oftentimes, especially when we talk about these mega churches and stuff like that, money is a factor. You heard the man. And actually, I'm going to end it with that, with how he told his congregation that his wife was no longer living. So hold on, we'll read this article and then I'm going to end with that. But remember, keep giving to the church, right? Because you got money tied in, and a lot of money. Apparently there's talks of private planes and things like that. And I'm sorry, it does kind of shake your soul, even though you know all of this, right? The good and bad in all things, good and bad churches, good and bad, like I said, police officers, teachers, YouTubers, whatever there is, even though we know that, it does like shake the soul to see someone who's supposed to be spreading the word about God and helping the community, tormenting their person like this. I don't know. Okay. Just real quick, grabbing something. Okay, got it. Now, that's for what we're going to end with, but let me show this. Memorials held to honor Myrtle Beach woman Micah Miller amid death investigation. So this article had to have came out this afternoon because we see the protest here, and I'll play that video. We'll see what we can hear. The Myrtle Beach area community will honor a local woman who died last week with 2 separate memorials and a rally on Sunday. Micah Miller, 30, died at the Lumber River State Park in the Orem community of Robeson County, according to the Robeson County Sheriff's Office. I don't know why I was wanting to call it Lumber County. It's Lumberton, Lumber River State Park in Robeson County. And the newspaper is the Robesonian or something. So on Thursday, the sheriff's office said that they started an investigation at the state park into her death. According to her obituary, she was from Myrtle Beach and very involved in her church. On Sunday at 3 p.m., a memorial service will be held at her former church where her husband serves as the pastor. The event's Facebook post said, Micah blessed us in so many ways, and we are saddened, but know she has graduated to heaven. It also invites those who want to support Micah's memory to sponsor a child in Africa for schooling and food, because we know that she went to Africa doing mission work. A group of her friends is also meeting at the church at 9 a.m. to hold a Justice for Micah rally. Now, I don't think that that's necessarily true, because the way that I understood it was the woman who organized this rally didn't know Micah. She saw the case and it grabbed her heart the same way it's grabbing many of us, and she decided, I want to help and I want to do something. I'm telling you guys something. If I was there, if Myrtle, it's not that far from me, and
Si tú
could
o
drive
alguien que
down.
conoces está pasando por una
I've
situación
considered
difícil
driving
o
down there to get some records on Letitia's case, because you have to go in person to get these records, or fill out a ton of paperwork and mail it in and wait for it to be mailed back if it makes it back to you. But I know for a fact, if I lived in this town, I would be at this protest. I would be right at this protest. It's every time that church had service, I would be there. Like that's how I feel. I hope that he knows, and he's paying very close attention, that everybody sees him for who he is. Now, I am way, way behind in the chat, but let me just try to catch up. Hey, psycho cunt. His oldest has DV charges too. Oh, wow. Queen Bella's got all the info. Yeah, apparently Fitcher, which, many don't believe that that's the truth. Thank you, Roxanne. Oh, psycho cunt. Thank you for being a member for 5 months, and love you back. And love and appreciate you. And thank you. He asked for monetary support from her. I saw that, Queen Bella. He asked her for monetary support. And then she came back and asked him for it. But what? Mayla's mom, thank you for being a member for 4 months. She said, oh, look, I missed that milestone. Love you, Allie. Love you back. And thank you for being here and for all your help. Hey, Booth Hill Rising. Definitely some red flags. Past, thank you for the super chat that says, happy Sunday. Keep up the great work, Alex. #real1. Oh, Past. Thank you. That's sweet, and I appreciate that. I fear he's looking for a new teenage stepmom for his 5 kids if he hasn't already found her. A young girl could be in grave danger if the cops don't take him in. I agree. Do you think he will attend it? I don't know, K-Braze. I was thinking about that too. I could see him skipping out on it. Ooh, Mayla's mom. If you see anything about that, please let me know. Hey, Indy listens, and Nicole and Angel, you guys coming in late. Okay, so this is how we're going to wrap it up. I want to play this video to see what we can see from the protest. And then I'm going to end it with how he notified his congregation that Micah had lost her life. And I want you to remember that this allegedly takes place after he did an entire sermon. And this is kind of how he wrapped it up at the end. Okay. Oh, Riddler, thank you for gifting. And thank you for being here. I appreciate that. Teacup, so I think I know what she would be talking about. So there was a picture that has been posted of him with this girl, and they are very cozy. And, you don't get to see her very clearly. One of them, you see the back of her head. They're sitting together in this booth. When it was originally posted, someone had said that it was a recent picture. But now I've seen someone who made a TikTok about, and I'll try to find it and link it for you guys to clear that up if I can find it again, because I was like way deep in the rabbit hole. I don't know if I'll ever make it back to where I was. But I saw a video where they were showing the person's comment who posted that picture, and they said, this is not from since the time because it said, oh, it doesn't look like someone who's grieving. And the person said, this is not from since Micah has passed away. This was from fall of 2022. So I don't know, I don't know the truth of that, but he might be out dating, but it appears that might be something that he was doing while they were still married, So either way, it's not good, but yeah, let me see if I can find the TikTok while y'all watch.
This pastor, John Paul Miller, led a whole church service on a Sunday before letting his congregation know that his beautiful wife, Micah, was no longer with them. She had died the day before. He had just found out, and he literally carried on with the whole service before sharing this message.
We're not going to do an altar call today. Instead, I'm going to have you stand up, and I'm going to make an announcement. And after the announcement, I'm going to ask that you leave church quietly and don't talk about the announcement here in the building, please, if you can. So y'all can stand to your feet. before I make the announcement, I also want to say that my request to you is that you will continue to come to church and serve and give for the next little bit. 'Cause I don't want to have. I'm taking a little bit of a break, and I don't want to have to worry about the church. My break may be a few days, a few weeks. I don't know. I got a call late last night. My wife has passed away, and yeah, it was self-induced, and it was up in North Carolina, and we're gonna have a funeral for her next Sunday here at 3 p.m. And so it's all I can. Yeah, I'm just kind of going on adrenaline right now. So y'all pray for me and my kids and everybody. And she wasn't. Y'all knew that she wasn't well mentally, and that she needed her medicine that was hard to get to her. And so I'm sure there'll be more details to come. But just keep our family in your prayers. And I'm going to let Pastor Randall, Bishop, he can pray.
Okay, so I found the picture so I can show you guys what I was talking about. Now, like I said, I don't believe that this is true, that this is
in the Pastor John Paul Miller case.
Robbie Harvey. We will wrap it up with his video. How about that? And just, I've not seen it, so just a warning that whatever's in this, we don't know. We're going to have to wrap it up. I've just did a search for this photo on TikTok so I can show you the picture I was referring to. Okay, let me see here. Tess, I saw that. You've been a member for 18 months. I have one too. Love you to the moon and back, Allie. This community you created is exceptional, just like you and your exceptional heart. Oh, thank you, Tess. And it really is. But you know what? You guys are what makes it, like I said a minute ago, you guys are what makes it so special. Okay, now, like I said, apparently this woman, this photo wherever that they're going to show, I have already seen it's been debunked that it didn't happen a couple days ago. The person who originally posted it or was part of that had commented and said, no, this is from the fall of 2022. But let's just see what old Robbie Harvey has to say about it.
And the death of his. There's an interesting development in the Pastor John Paul Miller case and the death of his wife.
Yes,
remember, the pastor is the one who oddly announced at the end of a church service how his wife died.
I got a call late last night. My wife has passed away. And yeah, it was self-induced, and it was up in North Carolina.
Now, Pastor John Paul and his wife Micah had been separated for some time, long enough for Pastor John Paul Miller to have a girlfriend. And this girlfriend has an interesting past. Her name is Susan.
Now, I don't think that we need to say her name necessarily in case it's wrong or something. So I'm going to skip through that part and we're going to keep listening. I just was trying to get past her name. But here is the photo that people were talking about. So there's this one where you see her smiling all big.
And this girlfriend has an interesting
And then we have another one where she kind of has her head turned to the side. So hold on.
And according to multiple sources, Susie and Pastor John
I just
Paul have
like
been
her
dating.
last name. Is good at that's fine the way that we have it. But here they are out at the car. I actually hadn't seen that one.
Quite a while. And that's interesting because the pastor and Micah Miller were not legally divorced.
Ray?
And as you can tell in this picture with Susie, the pastor still has his wedding ring on. But there's something disturbing that the pastor and Susie Skinner have in common.
We're learning more about the man who died after being found unresponsive in an Horry County pool. The victim was 40-year-old Christopher Skinner, a paraplegic and a motivational speaker.
Susie Skinner's
good job. I did it trying to not, but like I said, we're watching it together. I didn't know what was in it, but it's interesting. It's part of the story. It's out there. That was a local news clip. We'll see, we'll just have to see. All I can say is just please be smart and don't, which I know all of you guys in here are. You don't spread rumors. You don't spread things that you don't know that are 100% fact without saying, I'm not sure. We have to make that clear because misinformation is a huge problem. And in cases like this, where we already have, I don't know, it can be different case to case versus depending on rather the circumstances of that case, but still, okay.
Died from a drowning accident. Chris Skinner
Met
had a
him, Mom.
tragic accident some 20 years ago that left him bound to a wheelchair, but he adapted and lived a beautiful life. And according to Susie, he enjoyed going to their community pool often by himself. And on Labor Day 2021, Chris did just that. But apparently something went terribly wrong. According to reports, Chris got too close to the pool with his wheelchair and fell in, with nobody around to save him. And as I said, Chris had been in his wheelchair for almost 20 years. And according to Susie, every day during the summer since 2013, they would go to this pool. So he was familiar with the area. But somehow, on Labor Day 2021, Chris misjudged how close he was to the pool and fell in. And guess who conducted his funeral?
It's very, very exciting. I was Chris's pastor to preach a funeral in which I don't have to lie.
Wow, you guys, footage of him preaching the funeral. So before the live, I had seen this and I had heard that he did, and we had kind of touched on it briefly without knowing for certain, but here it, and I have to rewind that to hear the beginning again because his tone for a funeral, I don't know, man.
His funeral.
It's very, very exciting. I was Chris's pastor to preach a funeral in which I don't have to lie. It's probably my first funeral where I get to say all the truthful stuff, and that's because we know beyond a shadow of a doubt that Chris was a child of God, is a child of God, faithful husband, wonderful father, great friend, brother.
So y'all are, this is just bizarre.
Read more about the life of Chris and Susie Skinner and how she's adapted to this tragic accident. You don't have to go very far. You just have to go to the pastor's own church website. The entire story is there. I want to be very clear. This is all just circumstantial evidence. As of now, there's nothing connecting the two deaths. But I do believe this is a very important part to a story that's becoming very complicated. A story that, according to friends and family of Micah Miller, it's very dark. Darker than what the good pastor wants you to know.
God hates divorce, but why? According to everybody I've asked and the scriptures that I've found, it's because it hurts people. But does abuse hurt people? How do you think God feels about that?
Exactly. Don't ever, if you're religious, don't ever stay in a marriage thinking God will be mad at you for protecting yourself and taking care of yourself. That's not the God. That's not the way God works. You know, we don't need religion to feel and know God, in my opinion. So just remember that. And, you know, I do apologize for the kind of, it's been a little confusing and kind of walking you guys through this with the different articles and videos and Facebook posts and all the things. If you guys, you know, missed the beginning, we've went through a ton of information. It's all still kind of new and breaking. And, you know, as far as these rumors go that we're kind of touching on here at the end, just remember that they are just rumors right now. And, I don't know. I'm torn because it's out there. We can talk about the things that are out there, but I just want to be careful. I want to make sure to respect Micah and the case and the police and the process. Many people, you know, I think they forget, and Jen and I have talked about this so much privately. You know, a lot of people think that they can criticize and critique police investigations as they're happening, but that is not necessarily the time to do that. The time that we get to see what the police are doing and what they know is when it goes to trial. And, you know, when that day comes, we'll be right here talking about all the details that come out and all the information. As things break, if anything happens, I will make sure to let you guys know. I will post it on the community tab. Oh, there's my Bendy. Please check out the awesome channels that we've been dropping. Like I'm dropping Bendy's now. I dropped Deets, Belly Ray, Mo and Co. Just and others too. You know, there are tons. So yeah, and thank you guys for everything. Thank you for being here. Remember, when we talk about this stuff, these are real people, you know, and they are going through the worst time of their lives. Micah's poor family. Look at them online. Just, oh God, we all can see how they're suffering, but they're still trying to fight and get the word out that they don't believe that this is a self-harm situation, and they want police to look closer, and they want people to not just take whatever you hear and run with it. Make sure to check back with the family. I don't know about life insurance policy, dim small. That's interesting. Also, Ange has never clapped at a funeral so far in my 63 years. Veli Ray says, my brother is a preacher and left me out of my father's obituary. What a godly man, right? Wow, Veli. I'm sorry. That's bullshit. I have my feelings on religion. I kind of, like I said, I don't think that you need religion to feel God, to feel nature and feel people's spirit and their soul. Oftentimes it's more of a place for people to kind of gather and talk through that stuff if they want to, but you don't have to. And some people, I don't care how anybody believes. You know what I care about? Do you treat people with kindness? Are you a decent ass person? That's what matters. So remember, be a decent ass person. But no, a young man's funeral is not funny. That was very bizarre. His wording and things is ominous. I couldn't agree with you guys more. I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much for spending your Sunday afternoon with me. I think that Jen is having a live tonight on her channel going over some Daybell stuff. And I know she's invited some guests. I don't know who all's coming, but I'll be over there. So I hope that you guys will join us over there. And like I said, please check out the amazing channels that we drop here. Hey, Harley girl, thank you for being here. And yeah, everyone else, thank you so much. I'll see you soon. I'll keep you posted. If you are in a relationship that looks anything like this, just remember that you don't have to stay there. You don't deserve that. You deserve better. All women and men deserve to be treated with love and kindness in relationships. And if you are in a relationship like that, start putting your little money back, have something saved up, plan, keep in contact with people. And remember, leaving a relationship like that, like we talked about earlier, that is going to be the most dangerous time of the relationship, but there is a light on the other side. So, all right, now I will stop talking. I could sit here and say goodbye forever. I really do love and appreciate you guys so much, and I hope you have a lovely day, and I'll see you later. I'll keep you posted with whatever comes out about this. And yeah, thank you so much for everything. Bye.